presentation again. Ayan. So, and then we continue na, no, with the core of evidence gathering, no, which is yung techniques to use na in gathering the evidence. So the first item that I have here is the internal control questionnaires, no, which is actually done during the preliminary survey. So these ICQs is very structured, very detailed, and drafted to just generate a yes or no response. No? So that means that if it is a no, that will require the attention of the internal auditor. So this means that this control might be a control gap, or that this control might no longer be applicable to the audit, the process area that we are auditing. So let's just pay attention to that. The disadvantage of ICQ is actually that they're very difficult to prepare. So one has to have listed all of the possible controls in just one sub process. No, as you can see here, the sub process is just cash collection. But how about the disbursement? How about the other processes? So dito pa lang sa cash collection, meron na siyang maraming items. So it's very difficult to prepare and time consuming then to administer, because yung time spent mo in waiting the questionnaire, waiting the responses for the questionnaire, in-interview mo na lang sana. So mas efficient pa siya and mas synchronous pa yung exchange ng communication. So ayun. So the engagement clients then may anticipate, no, ano ba yung preferable answer, yes or no ba. So it would eventually lead to a distorted result, and then not all circumstances can be addressed. Again, these are just internal controls, but what if there are other risks, no, emerging risks that was not identified. So hindi siya mako-cover nito, and they are less effective nga, as I said earlier, than interviewing. So the suggested way that I can recommend, no, if you still wanted to use internal control questionnaire, is that embed it in your interview, no, as a guide question, or as a how do you call this, a framework of your interview, no. So as you do your interview, as you ask question, you are also filling out, ikaw na yung nag-fill out, no, internal control questionnaires, and then at the end of their interview, you will let the process owners acknowledge, no, the responses that you have. So ayun. On the next slide will be interviews na. So interview, there are 4 common types of interview, no, in internal auditing. So first is the preliminary interview nga, which we usually do during preliminary activity, and then we have fact gathering interview. The main difference of these two is that in the fact gathering interview, we are already focused on a specific subject matter. So usually this fact gathering interview is how do you call this, is done on fraud audits then, ganyan, or clarification interviews, mga ganyan. So, and then we also have follow-up interview intended for us, no, to just verify yung mga conclusions natin that happened during the preliminary interview and fact gathering interview after our analysis, no, ng mga information or documents na nag-gather natin along the side. So, yun, parang more on verification lang din siya. And then finally, exit interview. In our team, we also call it the briefing, no. This is actually the session wherein we already present our findings to the process owner and ask if these are accurate, no, our findings are accurate, and do you have any recommendations or action plans so that we can address this how do you call this, these findings or concerns that we have gathered. So yun yung mga types ng interview na we usually do, no, as an internal auditor. And then how to I think I've included a sample format of an interview session, no. Actually, this is how we do our preliminary interview. We set the time, and we stay focused on the time that is allotted, which is 1.5 hours, and we send this directly to the process owner. So first would be the short introduction for the purpose of the interview session and the scope. What are the topics that we will just discuss for that particular session, and then the introduction of both parties. And then this is an important practice for us, no, since this is a preliminary review. We allow the process owner to talk for 15 minutes and present their function, the targets that we have, no, that they have in their function. Ano yung mga KPIs nila, ano yung mga ongoing projects nila ngayon, ano yung mga ongoing concerns nila ngayon. So they talk for 15 minutes. And then after that, we proceed to the interview proper, and then wrap up the entire and present, no, yung mga requested documents during the interview proper, kasi dun pa lang magkakaroon na ng mga documents na na request, no, na additional na. Sige po, pwede po bang tingnan yung ganito yung monitoring, ganyan na sinasabi niyo ngayon. So that's how it is. So on the next slide, how to prepare for an interview. Of course, you have to read the manuals, the organizational charts, the results of your questionnaires of the target process area that you are reviewing, because you cannot go there unarmed. And again, although our purpose is in the preliminary survey is to get familiar with the subject matter, no, it really is efficient for us to know na the background information before we move to interviewing talaga the auditor, the process owner, sorry. Ayun. So, and then next is to prepare an interview outline or guideline questions, and to avoid this is to avoid asking yung mga obvious questions na anong function ng department mo, ilan kayo sa department, meron ba kayong ngayon, meron ba kayong projects ngayon, which is actually already addressed. Baka pwede nang i-address siya ng nung mga documents na meron nang available. So, pero if hindi pa talaga, like it's your first time meeting, you can do yung practice dun sa previous slide, wherein binigyan talaga natin si process owner ng time to present yung department nila or yung function nila. Ayun. So, except when surprise is needed, schedule an interview in advance, no? Saying the specific time, duration, again, and place, no? We have to value the time of our process owners kasi we are actually interrupting their core process. So yun. So we have to be specific with the duration of our interview. So if possible, interview should not be scheduled very late in the day, just before or after a vacation, or just before or after a meal. So yan. So this is just parang just a basic courtesy na lang din sa mga process owners natin, no? Especially if galing sila ng vacation or very late in the day, because very late in the day, there is a possibility kasi na mag-extend or mag-prolong, no? And then na violate na natin yung personal time nila if that's the case. Just before and after the vacation, so baka nandun pa siya sa niya, no, yung parang hindi pa siya naka-get over, hindi pa siya naka-reset to work mode again, and then pumunta na tayo for interview. So just little more considerations. And then on the next slide, in crafting our question, we can use two approaches, no? Yan. So in crafting our question, we can use the directive approach, which is straightforward, no, and gives focus or emphasis on a certain topic, because this helps the auditor to be in control in the interview. And then we have the non-directive approach, which are broad questions, open-ended questions that may result in unexpected observation. So we are not really parang keen on sticking into one approach, no. We can combine this, no, in our line of questioning, no. But just to know na when to use the directive approach and non-directive approach. Usually non-directive approach kapag first time audit talaga, wala pa tayong alam dun sa process owner. So medyo general lang yung mga tanong natin, like what is the process of identifying suppliers, ganyan, how do you do emergency purchase, na soliciting lang talaga yung narration ng mga ginagawa nila. No, but the directive approach is that meron ka nang na-observe initially dun sa mga documents or sa mga sa mga documents na provide nila. So we are actually targeting na that specific concern that we wanted to be clarified about. So in this case, dito may tanong si auditor, I can see that the SCM team has listed etong company, hypothetical company 123 as a sole supplier for the critical squares we identified. So the auditor, hindi siya mag-accuse dito at this point. She just wanted to know paano sila nag-come up with the decision. So how did you come up with the decision? And meron po ba kayong criteria na we use as a basis to decide to contract these suppliers? Can you explain to us how it works? Parang ganun. So, directive approach siya in a sense na meron na tayong single topic na pinag-uusapan, which is yung decision criteria for choosing company 1, 2, 3. Yan. So, that's how we craft our questions. So now, after crafting your questions and preparing na everything, we now proceed to the interview na. So during the interview, again, basic lang din, the auditor should be on time, and then if malilate tayo, i-say natin yun in advance with the process owner. And then in our demeanor, so we have to put our process owner at ease. We have to be polite, helpful, and non-threatening. No, hindi naman yung sobrang friendly. We should still maintain our professional demeanor. But again, we are already marketing ourselves as partners, no, as consultants, as advisors, no, and not police. So we have to also embody that kind of vision to explain the interview purpose and assure that the confidentiality of information is parang considered in the discussion. No? So we have to also put the process owner nga at ease na pag may mga confidential information, we say na we are going to control this information and limit lang yung access no mga information na to. So yan. So when questioning, we have to be tactful, we have to be objective, reasonable, and interested, no? So hindi pwedeng we ask a general question and alam mo na yung question, hindi ka na nakinig, but meron palang important na mga points doon na gagawin. So, na makikita ka. So, if you ask the question in the first place and you know the answer, why ask the question na? So, maybe ginamit mo na lang yung time, no, to ask for another subject matter, no, so that you are also interested doon sa answer nila and hindi mo ina-anticipate yung answer nung ini-interview mo. And then again, avoid accusatory tone or avoid statement that is not yet supported by the evidence, no. Balik tayo dun sa questioning natin earlier with company 1, 2, 3. Hindi natin sinasabi na nag-aano tayo, parang nagda-doubt tayo na kinontrata na agad nila si 1, 2, 3 as supplier. So ang gusto natin is ma-explain nila kung ano yung naging criteria ng selection of that supplier. So ganun siya. So we have to think of other perspective na not to reveal, no, yung parang yung mindset nating mga auditors pagdating sa fraud. So dapat lang tayo. Low-key lang tayo. Ayun. And then again, pay attention to body language because it says a lot. We can really see if the interviewee is uncomfortable or comfortable, too comfortable, mga ganyan. So we can gauge and be flexible, no, on the flow of the interview, no, depending on their body language. So again, on the next slide. So if the interviewee is uncooperative, no, we do not have to panic, no. We have to carefully explain first the situation, no, why are we doing this interview, and provide the opportunity for them to calm down. So if and continue the interview, and then do not let them feel pressured or coerced na kailangan nating itong gawin talagang interview, sir, ma'am, wala tayong magagawa, trabaho lang, no. Do not let them feel like that, no. So we have to politely ask the interviewee of his or her needs and see if she was the best person to participate in the interview, no? So tactfully ask, no, what makes you uncomfortable, or what makes you parang hesitant to do this interview? Are you the best person for me to talk with, no, in terms of knowing about the SCM process, the finance accounting process, or can you refer me to another person who can really who can really do this interview well, parang ganon, or parang who can really be the best person to represent your team in this interview. So ganon, medyo maging sensitive din tayo on the process owners parang feelings. But again, balance it, no? Baka naman kasi talagang fraud audit tong interview natin. So, hindi talaga hindi talaga mag-a-apply to. Kailangan talaga natin makuha yung side niya, no? But on a normal internal audit activity, no? So, we have to be more parang we have to give more attention to the process owners. Ideally, we follow the agenda developed during the planning phase, yung mga na-craft mo na mga audit procedures, but always look for the need to be flexible. Kasi baka mamaya naman, na-answer na nila yung mga question dun pa lang sa introduction nila ng department nila. So you have to move na doon sa mga specific questions mo, which is nasa baba yun usually ng iyong interview guide or ng mga questionnaires. So yun lang. And then on the next slide, utilize active listening by doing the following: observing the body language, and then reserving judgment about what is said. Nasabi silang sa tingin natin red flag natin sa expression natin na, oh my goodness, parang ganon. So we should not do that. And also we have to ask clarifying questions, no, to show them to ensure that we are really understanding yung sinasabi ni process owner. Hindi tayo nag-a-assume ng sarili nating truth, no, about the matter. And also allowing periods of silence. Usually I do this by just taking the notes, no, para lang makahinga din si interviewer, no. Pero hindi naman yung long silence like parang talaga 30 seconds or 1 minute, hindi talaga pwede yan. Especially if you're doing the interview online, no, medyo may anxiety levels yan na nagaganap if ganyan. So, yun. And then leading questions should be avoided kasi it solicits na yung parang self-incriminating answers, like the loaded questions din. Kasi parang dito, iniisip na natin kung ano yung dapat nilang isagot. So, which is ineffective. Again, we are interviewing them because we wanted information, not confirmation, okay? So if it is a confirmation interview, just like the fact gathering interview or the follow-up interview, then we can do that. But if it is a preliminary interview, we should avoid that as much as possible. So, and then questions requiring explanatory response is preferable, no, than yes or no responses, no, because we have to engage the process owners during the time that we set the interview. And then be on the next slide, beware of answers that are too smoothly stated, no, baka na-rehearse na to na sobra, so baka distorted din yung information. Reason why napaka-low ng persuasiveness din ng mga internal information, especially information gathered through the interviews. And then answers that fit too neatly on the interviewer's own preconceptions. Baka mamaya, parang pinipaint niya yung department niya as na very good department, na very, kami initiative, parang mga ganun, madami kami initiative, madami kami innovations, ganyan. Pero when you look into their process, maraming butas, maraming pwedeng pasukan ng mga risk. So, ganun. So, just beware, but do not let the process owner see that on your faces. And then consist of generalization, like meron naman kaming mga ganyang controls, mga ganon. So we have to solicit more answers if those are the kinds of response that we are receiving to them. And then ito pa isa, yung contain unfamiliar terminology. For me, sa in my company, no, because I am engaged in core process, so it's more on technical, not really on the financial side. So I usually take time to ask the process owners to briefly explain to me in layman's term kung ano yung mga sinasabi nila about technical things na. But hindi naman ako nahihiya na i-ask yun kasi it really helps din doon sa if ganun yung mga nare-receive nating response, again, we have to solicit more answers or parang do more follow-up questions na if these are the answers that we are receiving to the process owner. So again, take note of and parang be aware or be more sensitive and differentiate the statement of facts from statement of opinions. This is a common parang common na mistake ng mga new auditors lagi, no, yung mga yung na may mistaken nila yung mga opinions ng process owners as fact, but in actual opinions lang pala yun siya. So that's why yung first bullet natin kanina in preparation of the interview is that we already know the manuals, we already know yung the background, the basic information of the department, so that we have an anchor kung ano yung facts lang, ano yung parang niya lang, parang comment niya lang on certain things, no? Because it's not always that obvious, no, kapag sinasabi nila yun. Hindi nila sasabihin na ang sa akin lang, minsan talaga diretso na lang eh. So we have to be careful with that. So take notes during the interview. So yung mga notes natin should be sufficient enough, but we have to also minimize yung time spent ng looking to the interviewer or stopping them, no? Kasi nga it increases the anxiety level of the interviewee, no, if we put too much dead air in the interview. So again, I've mentioned this earlier, record only when permitted, no? Always ask for consent. If they do not allow, it's okay lang. Just do your best in anong tawag dito? In putting more effort in the note writing, no? But yun, kailangan talaga natin i-ask yung consent nila when recording. Okay. So that's it for the tips, no, during the interview. For the closing interview naman, so as applicable, you recap the topics that were discussed and the salient points, no, relevant to the purpose of the interview. Maybe select some points na you as an auditor, no, things na crucial for your audit. So yun, that's the time na you have to recap this and verify if tama ba yung pagkakaintindi mo doon sa mga salient points na na-capture mo during the interview. And then should there be a need, so inform again the interviewee or the process owners na meron kang transcription na ibibigay or minutes of the interview meeting, and then na-isesend mo yun sa kanila for acknowledgement. Kasi usually, protection natin to as an auditor, no? Na since mababa nga yung level of persuasiveness ng internal information, no, we have to do our best na na maipa-acknowledge sa kanila yung mga sinabi nila during the interview. So we have to document it and we have to seek their acknowledgement in paper that these are the salient points and these are the topics that were discussed and these are your responses, parang ganyan. So and the interview by briefing the process owners of the next set of audit activities, no, in the engagement. Hindi pwedeng mawawala na tayong parang bubble, then appear tayo again, magugulat sila, dito ka na naman. So we have to let them know na after this interview, so pupunta po kami sa office niyo to ask for documents, mga ganyan, and witness your your buyers or your staff, doing things. So we have to inform them in advance, no. And the required support that we need from them. So parang i-allow, sabihin natin na need po namin ng access sa documents nyo, need po namin ng access sa system nyo, like something like that. And then lastly, thank the interviewee for their time. So yun. So ayun. So that's it for the interview. We move now to observation. So madali lang tong observation. This is very common. This is a very common tawag dito audit procedure for us, no? So this is just looking at the process or the procedure being performed, watching physical activities of employees, see how they perform, no, how they receive goods, how they deliver goods, mga ganyan, and gather general information. Usually, observation is the most persuasive evidence for existence and occurrence assertion. So if we wanted to have an evidence that the asset is existing, so we use observation because we have to physically go there and verify at site if the asset is existing. Occurrence naman, if walkthrough to na transaction walkthrough, so yun, we also observe. So yan, so they are the most persuasive evidence daw. So other tools for information gathering. So we, on the next slide, we have email or mail questionnaires.
Kasi ito yung
yan. So email and mail questionnaires, no, they are relatively cheap, eliminate interviewer bias, and gather a huge amount of data, but they tend to be inflexible, slow response time then, and we have a non-response bias. No? Na-eliminate nga natin interview bias. Meron naman tayong non-response bias. So, baka mamaya hindi sufficient yung responses natin na makuha sa email or mail questionnaires. So telephone interview naman, it's a little bit more faster and efficient than email questionnaires, but it reintroduces again interviewer bias, and then it is more costly and gather less data than mail surveys. And then rating scales, usually we use this on survey to allow the people to rate service, no. But in my practice, no, I just we rarely use rating scales, no. Okay. Moving on to computerized audit tools for information gathering. So these are the most common tools, no, using the technology in our evidence gathering. We have the generalized audit software, or the GAS. Usually this is, if you can hear the software's Teammate, Galvanize, ACL. So that's generalized audit software. So how it works is that itong mga software na to nakaka-copy nila, or meron silang access dun sa database, or kayang mag-extract ng information through the middleman, and then ilo-load siya dito sa system na to. Tapos dun ka na talaga magpa-perform ng analysis, which is mainly parang Excel din, no? But it is really more powerful than spreadsheet or Excel. So yun, ganun siya nag-work. Minsan hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa process owner tapos humingi ng data doon sa kanila. Just some companies, they allow it na directly na naka-connect na siya doon sa database. So ganun lang siya. Wala nang istorbo sa part ni process owner. And then test data, this is done to observe, no, whether a good data is correctly processed and how well the system handles bad data. Usually we do this when there is a new system that is being implemented, and the audit is requested to parang test, no, yung functionality ng data, or nung system. So we will load a good data set and then see if yung expected outcome niya is really good, no, or is really within our expectation. And then we will also load bad data o mga scenarios, no, wherein meron kami mga hindi susundin na rules, like hindi susundin na input controls doon sa data na yun. Papasok kaya or magpa-process kaya yung transaction. So yun yung yun yung goal natin when we use the test data method. And then integrated test facility, ito naman parang test data din, pero meron we are using not the test instance, no, tinatawag natin na test instance na version ng system, but we use the live production system, meaning to say once na nag-enter tayo dun ng entity, masasama siya dun sa mga client records natin. So in the integrated test facility, we create lang a dummy entity, no, and then see how it performs or how it is processed in the live production system. Of course, this has to be well facilitated, no, by all parties, especially the IT, the project process owners, no, kasi baka mamaya matreat nila tong dummy entity na to na as a legitimate entity. So mag-issue pa sila ng check, no? So we have to facilitate this activity very well. So again, embedded audit module naman, this is designed to identify and report no actual transactions, no. Embedded audit module is similar to GAS, but meron lang siyang specific target na process na ginagawa. So usually dito na pumapasok yung continuous monitoring, yung mga online and real-time systems na this is very advanced audit technique, and usually dito na rin papasok yung mga RPA natin o yung mga robotic process automation process natin for audit. For example, sa mga banks, this is already present, no? Yung mga clearings ng mga banks na si auditor, naka-connect na yan siya online. And 100% na yung sampling niya kasi meron na siyang robot na nag-i-scan ng mga transactions and nagsisi if merong mga suspicious transaction, then ipa-prompt niya si auditor. Ito, mga possible suspicious transaction, you have to check, mga ganyan. So that's how embedded module works. On the next slide, so we have data mining and extraction. So this is the very old school way of getting information. No, we get the information straight from the client, whether it's directly from the client database using the SQL, no, yung ating database language, or just allowing the clients to extract the information and give it to us. Ayan, so yun sa data mining and extraction. And then spreadsheet analysis, no, which is used to evaluate what if scenarios, create graphs, analyze variances between budgeted and budgeted and actual amounts, and perform other analytical procedures. So it depends on your audit objective, no. So pag finance, most likely ito yung mga dapat nyong tingnan. So ito yung mga dapat na steps na gawin nyo during spreadsheet analysis. But for other types, usually you craft another testing procedure, no, especially if compliance yan, so hindi na masyado mag-apply itong mga tools na ito. Okay, so next tool that we will talk about is process mapping. So flowcharts or process maps are just graphical presentation of the process that we are auditing, no. So usually it depending on the type of the process map or the flowchart, no, it depicts, no, paano yung flow ng preparation, authorization, storage, ganyan. So pwede rin tong by system, manual or computerized or combination. So kaya rin nitong i-reflect yun, no. So on the next slide, so I've just included, no, maraming types of process chart or flow chart, no, but the most common method or the most common type that we will see is the horizontal flow charts or the system flow charts, which includes yung process steps, including yung responsibility ng mga departments. So it cuts across. The vertical flow chart naman, just siya, parang top to bottom format lang siya. And then ang principal use niya lang is yung specific action ng isang process or a computer program. So ganun lang siya. On the next slide, I just showed a sample of a horizontal flowchart. As you can see here, no, may involved na mga parties, and nakikita mo kung ano yung mga kinds of process blocks na ginagawa niya pertaining to the entire na process na dinidepict. So for example, this one is the purchasing of a item. So this is how it looks like when it is a horizontal flowchart. And then on the next slide will be the vertical flowchart. And as you can see, ganyan lang siya, no? Step by step, decisions lang siya. If yes, proceed to this step. If no, balik tayo, mag-loop tayo. If yes, again, ito na naman yung gagawin natin. If no, balik tayo. So, ganun lang siya. So, yun. So, why do we use these diagrams or this flowchart? Because we usually do this during the preliminary survey. Remember earlier, we have to use that as an output for the preliminary survey because we wanted to know, we wanted to first ensure that we have understood the process really well. Next is to see if there is a possible weakness in the process that we are reviewing. Usually, pag draw mo pa lang ng process chart, makikita mo na, ay, di ba dapat hindi siya dumiretso dito kay accounting, dapat kay end user mo na siya kasi kailangan i-validate muna if tama ba yung na-deliver na goods bago bayaran. So, usually, kapag nilatag mo na yun sa process chart, doon mo makikita na merong mga steps na na-miss. So, that's why, even if it is tedious to make, very tedious to make, along with the risk assessment and all, we do this pa rin kasi yun yung mga advantages niya. Okay? So next is the RACI diagram. So again, this is a very efficient tool not only for audit then but for the other departments, no? Excuse me. So this is to clarify, no? To have a clear representation of decision-making assignment on a cross-functional and departmental perspectives, no? So R means responsible. Ito yung mga usually ito yung mga first actors, no, nung ano, for example in this case, no, sa procurement to pay process, no, dun sa first item natin, pag purchase requisition daw siya, ang requestor or yung end user, siya yung responsible because he is the one who makes the PR, no. So yun, siya yung nagre-request talaga ng PR. So the accountable for that would be the end user, no, in this case, in this sample, the end user kasi siya yung nag-a-approve nung request ni requestor, nung responsible. And then the consulted would be the buyers and informed will be the buyers and the SCM head, sometimes the accounting. Why? Because consulted meaning to say baka kasi meron tayong mga budget constraints, no? So we have to check with the buyers if meron ng mga previous purchases ng, for example, laptop, and we can already see if the amount is according to the budget which is set by accounting, no? Which is napupul natin sa accounting yung information na yun. And then, yun, and inform them as well. Kasi baka mamaya over the budget na pala tayo, so dapat ma-inform din si accounting and we can, or si finance, and see if meron pa tayong mga budget, pwedeng parang allocation sa mga budget na pwedeng pagkuhanan ng funds. Mga ganyan. But anyways, that's how the RACI works, no? So ganyan. And paano naman kay auditor? So usually, yung RACI, we usually draft this first ng initially. Ito yung from the interview and the initial gathering processes. Ito yung in actual, then gagawa tayo ng should be, no? Kasi baka mamaya yung responsible, siya pa yung accountable. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Dapat hiwalay yung responsible sa accountable. Kasi yung accountable, siya yung mag-check dun sa responsible if tama ba yung nagawa niya. So kailangan maghiwalay siya. Ganyan. So we have to, yan naman yung benefit ng RACI diagram. Okay, so for the next one, ito, very familiar tayo dito sa, ayan. So inspection of records, no? So inspection of records and tangible asset, no? This is usually done to ascertain the assertion, no, existence of the asset or the transaction and the validity of the information, no. Valid ba tong information na to? Let's see in the records kung totoo ba. So yan. So yan yung mga tinetest natin kapag nag-i-inspect tayo ng records or ng tangible assets. So tracing naman, is used to ascertain completeness, no? So ang tracing ay from the source documents, we trace it back to the ledger. So ano siya, parang follows a transaction siya from the single transaction, ito-trace natin siya until dun sa endpoint ng flow ng information, which is in this case sa diagram sa baba, is the ledger. So yan. So again, we use this to ascertain completeness. Yung vouching naman, baliktad, no, it tracks the result backward. So from the originating event, which is the ledger, i-verify natin doon sa transaction itself, doon sa mga resibo. So ganun siya. So that's why it is used to ascertain existence. Kasi baka mamaya yung nasa accounting books mo, sinabi mo doon meron kang purchase ng 50 units na laptop, pero pag tingin mo sa receipts 40 lang. So yun yung ina-ascertain natin. Existing ba talaga yung 50 laptops na nasa ledger? So, we do the vouching. No? So, ganyan. Sa tracing naman, complete ba yung mga supports natin for procuring the laptop bago siya ma-pay para ma-input sa ledger? So, that's completeness. That's why we need tracing. So, ganun siya. On the next slide, we have reperformance or recalculation. So usually we do this because we wanted to test the accuracy of the figures, no? Again, this is so common in accounting audit, no, or finance audit, and also prevalent for SCM or procurement audits, no. We have to do this recalculation kasi we wanted to validate if accurate ba yung nasingil natin or nabayaran natin sa suppliers. Ganyan. So, and then another ones is the ratio analysis, no? If you are familiar with the ROIs, no? Ano pa ba? Mga liquidity ratios and profitability ratios. And usually these ratios are done, no, for finance audit again, and see if our company or our organization is in good condition muna in the first place. No, bago tayo mag-dig deep, ito muna yung una nating ginagawa to see if meron bang issues with regards to liquidity, baka mamaya wala na pala tayong capability to pay our utang, mga ganyan. So ganun siya. Usually done siya before we test any other controls, no, para makita lang natin yung overall condition ng financial documents or financial statements natin. Variance analysis is done as well. So ano naman siya, comparison lang siya ng actual result and the budgeted amounts. Tapos tinitignan natin if reasonable ba yung differences nito. Usually yung mga companies, meron silang tolerable limits, no, of variances. For example, 5% of the budgeted amount. If exceed na doon, saka na maghahanap ng supports or justification. Parang ganun. Sa trend analysis din, this is more naman on the marketing side, but I seldom see this as parang an audit tool, no, except if you are reviewing a financial audit, no, because it tracks, no, the ratio over time, no, it analyzes, no, ano ba yung mga effects and changes, no. So usually again, para siyang ratio analysis, we are just scanning, no, yung performance ng organization natin before tayo mag-test ng mga controls specific to our subject matter. So yan. So I think this is the last subject matter na I've prepared for everyone. No? How do we assess controls? No? After knowing all those tools that we discussed earlier, paano naman talaga natin i-assess yung control? So I would like to introduce to you some a framework pala. A framework, it is called the Comprehensive Assessment Model. And sorry, medyo madaming box, no? Pero usually this is how the Comprehensive Assessment Model works, no? The perspective of the Comprehensive Assessment Model is that your control objectives should should address, no, yung business governance objectives mo and the risk assessment. And then your control objectives will be the basis of the controls that you implement, the adequacy, and then the effectiveness of this control. No? Actually, the adequacy of the control means if the control is effective, if it is economic and efficient. So threefold yung kanyang elements. Okay? So punta tayo dun sa effectiveness kasi yun yung ina-assess natin, yung effectiveness. So under the pink box, no, I think may animation ba yan, Ivan? Parang wala atang animation. Ayan, okay lang. Okay lang, sige. So yung pink box na lang, focus tayo dun sa pink box. So yung effectiveness daw, according to the Comprehensive Assessment Model, is composed of two elements, which is the control design and control performance. At the auditor's perspective, look at the orange box now. At the auditor's perspective, it's very easy for us to assess control performance, because ito na yung mga ginawa natin kanina, compliance doon sa mga policies and procedure, parang nag-existence checking tayo, nagwo-work ba yung system natin. So ganun, yung residual risk ba is within our tolerable amount or limit. So yan yung assessment for control performance. It's very easy for us to test control performance, kasi itetest lang natin yung completeness, consistency, existence, accuracy, lahat ng assertions nandyan, except for segregation of duties, kasi nandito siya sa control design. And the control design, as you can see here, meron siyang 4 main elements, which is relevance ng control, meaning to say talaga bang ina-achieve niya yung control objectives. Coverage, meaning to say gaano karaming control objectives yung kaya niyang i-cover. Strength, which is again marami siyang elements dyan. And timeliness, actually, gaano kabilis yung control to detect a risk from happening. So yan, mini-measure din natin yung timeliness. And under the control strength, ito yung medyo madami-dami. We measure discretionality. Yung policies and procedure ba natin very clear kung sino yung responsible, o baka mamaya at our own interpretation lang. So ganon. Integration, meaning to say yung processes ba natin cross-functional ba siya, or parang confined lang siya into one department. Independence, meaning to say kailangan ba nito ng system para mag-work, or kailangan ba nito ng inputs from the other department for it to work properly. Segregation, again, segregation of duties, alam na natin yan. Automation, applicable lang to if system yung ina-audit natin. Adaptability, if yung controls ba natin nag-a-adapt siya, meaning to say kapag merong mga like for example, na-down yung system, meron tayong mga controls, compensating controls to parang back it up. Yeah. And traceability, nakikita ba natin or na meron bang audit trail yung control. So that's the measurement. So all in all, yan yung mga tinitingnan natin during our testing, control testing. Itong mga elements na to, lahat ng to. Pero to know more about that, I've included the link again. You can download the PDF. Andun yung mga rating scales na sinasuggest niya, kung paano matitignan yung discretionality, kung paano titignan yung timeliness and everything. So you can know more about that. But on the next slide, let's just go back to the case application, how to assess the control. So kanina, di ba, na-cover natin kanina is that meron tayong 3 controls, yung loss of competitive advantage, yung payment to supplier, at saka stock out risk. And then yung inherent risk levels nila, critical yung dalawa, and then high. So nung nag-identify tayo ng controls, nakita natin na yung related risk nung number 1 is meron siyang related issues pala is 8. So ibig sabihin, madami palang issues dito sa risk natin ng competitive advantage, So yung 4 na controls, hindi siya naging enough, kasi sobrang dami nung nakita nating audit issues. So that's the time na we rate the control design. Saan ba sila nagkulang? Sa performance ba o sa design? Ibig sabihin, pag performance, meron tayong mga controls ginagawa nila. So okay ba yun? So pero pag design, itong mga controls ba to tama siya in the first place? So yun yung pinaka ng design, pinaka gist ng control design, Itong controls ba natin na to, tama siya in the first place, o baka may kailangan pa tayo na information. So, ganyan. So, dito sa hypothetical assessment natin, nakita natin ang pinaka-problem is yung control design. Doon siya bumagsak. Kaya ang overall assessment niya sa adequacy rating natin is needs improvement. Ibig sabihin, yung na-identify natin na 4 controls is not enough for this loss of competitive advantage na risk to be reduced or mitigated. So, ganun i-interpret yung comprehensive assessment model. So, look at stock out risk naman. dun sa stock out risk sa baba, so nakita natin na meron siyang 3 controls, tapos isa lang yung nakita nating issue. And yung issue na yun, yung issue na yun is very negligible na. It does not affect na yung rating natin for the control design, no? So above 3 na siya, and pati yung performance natin. So overall, pati yung efficiency niya, which is yung economic element, satisfactory yung naging rating natin for the stock out risk. So paano naman yung overall na assessment? Kunwari na-rate na natin yung mga each of the risk. Siyempre, i-average natin to. But in our perspective na as an auditor, hindi dapat siya talagang straightforward average, no? It has to be based on the inherent risk levels. Gaya nito, yung may dalawa tayong critical and high, hindi pwedeng parehas lang yung weight nung critical at ng high. Dapat mas malaki yung weight ng critical kaysa sa high. Kasi mas mataas yung impact nun sa company or sa organization. So that's why instead of parang if i-straight average mo lang tong ICS rating natin nasa 2. Parang nasa around 3 na siya, no? 2.99 something. Naging 2.96 lang siya. Very minimal, no? Kasi 3 lang to, no? Pero kapag marami na tong controls, marami na tong risk, talaga siya. Magiging obvious talaga yung effect, no? So in the end, 2.96 siya. So papasok siya doon sa number 2, sa tier 2 natin, which is ineffective. So if ineffective yung control, ibig sabihin, it is subject to significant improvements. So yan. Si comprehensive assessment model na rin yung nagbigay ng description, no, kung ano yung meaning ng 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 na scales, no. It's a very impressive tool, no, if you want to have your you want to improve, no, on how you communicate your overall opinion, no, kapag nag-report ka na. So meron ka ng graphical representation, meron ka ng data na maibibigay. Hindi lang tayo puro qualitative lang na evidence kapag sinasabi natin to sa process owner. We have the numbers already, and then they can see na clearly kung saan sila talagang mahina. Sa performance ba, nagko-comply ba sila dun sa standards? Or sa design mismo, ibig sabihin yung standards nila, tama ba or mali? Parang ganun. Kulang ba o sapat na? So, sa control design. So, nakikita na nila kung saan sila dapat mag-work. So, ayun. I think that's my last slide. And then in conclusion, so the role of internal audit has already evolved. No, we are far from being just compliance checkers, police checkers. No, we are also and we also envision ourselves, no, to become consultants, advisors, no, to help really the process owners in their improvement processes. Okay, and then we also have to understand the risk and the internal controls so that it can help us in knowing what controls are we going to test. Okay, and then the engagement planning is crucial for an effective audit execution. Nakita nyo kanina, sobrang daming gagawin sa engagement planning, pero it really pays a lot, no, pagdating na sa execution, because you already know where to put your efforts. Yon. So the combination of tools to test the control effectiveness. So always use a combination, no? Hindi pwedeng isa lang, hindi pwedeng interview lang, hindi pwedeng analysis lang, no? So we have to combine everything so that we can have a sound assessment. And finally, to assess the control effectiveness, we have to look for 2 elements. We have to look for the control design, and we have to look for the control performance. Okay. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. I hope na even if it's too wordy for us, no, meron kayong natutunan for this one. Okay. So, Ivan, the floor is yours.
Ayan. Ma'am Jacqueline, sobrang thank you po, no, sa pag-take ng invitation namin bilang resource speaker po namin for today's webinar sa tools and techniques. So, mga key takeaways ko lang. So, yung is, yung role of internal audit has evolved. Kahit sa public sector, nag-evolve na talaga siya. So, sinabi mo kanina lagi na ang internal audit nag-add value. So, dapat talaga na mag-add value ang internal auditor. Kasi nga is gusto natin ma-meet yung objectives, yung overall objectives ng organization. And then, thirdly, yung pinaka-last, sa lahat ng audit engagement, dapat yung engagement planning is crucial for an effective audit execution. Without, yun nga, kung hindi natin gagawin yung assessment, preliminary surveys, no? Hindi natin may ensure na yung execution natin is maging effective. No, baka kasi mangyari is maging hilaw yung execution natin. So, ayun po. So, may comment dito. No, basahin ko yung comment from yan, si Ma'am Sarah Jane. Ma'am Sarah, sabi niya, thank you ma'am. This is one of our weaknesses, the internal control assessment. So, si Sir Gary, sabi niya po, thank you so much for the additional knowledge that you have shared with us, ma'am. Ayan. So, meron po tayong few minutes. Baka meron po bang 1 or 2 questions po before tayo mag-end?
Feel free to ask. Baka,
Oo. Kung meron po, no? Pwede po kayong mag-unmute ng inyong microphone. Mukhang wala ata. Sige.
Nahiya sila, Ivan.
Oo nga, nahiya sila. Pero kung may any questions kayo o concerns, pwedeng message niyo po ako, no? So, para po ipaabot natin sa ating resource speaker, kay Ma'am Jacqueline po ano yung mga concerns niyo. So, ayan. So, i-end na po natin yung ating webinar for this morning. So, ayan. So, thank you po ulit sa lahat ng umattend ng ating webinar. Tools and Techniques in Internal Auditing. Thank you po sa mga umattend, sa mga department heads nandito ng LGU Chongan, sa mga internal auditors from Europa and internal auditors from other offices within Ujokan. Thank you po. Then, thank you din kay Ma'am Jacqueline Layugan. Comprehensive, extensive, ang dami po namin learnings na nakuha. No? Na-re-echo at the same time, nadagdagan pa kung ano yung learnings na namin na alam namin before, pero mas lalong naintindihan pa namin na ngayon. So, ayan. Ma'am, yung certificate niyo po, ready na siya. Sign na po siya. Papadala ko po siya or dadalhin ko po siya this March. Then kasama yung small token of appreciation po namin. So, ayun po. Thank you po ulit sa lahat. Sana po ay masarap ang inyong lunch. No? Malapit na mag-lunch. So, ayan po. Yung aming feedback form ay i-send po namin ngayon. Paantay lang po, no? Nasa chat box po. Ayan, nasa chat box na po yung ating feedback form. So, thank you po ulit sa lahat. So, happy lunch po. Happy Singles Day daw ngayon. Singles Appreciation Day. Sa mga singles dyan. So, ayun po, no? Thank you po ulit. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Ma'am Jacqueline.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor. Ayun. See you when I see you.
Oo nga. Buhay ng auditor, no? Laging on the go.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sige po.
sige.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.